Hi everybody, I'm Marc with a C. I'm in Canada right now. Why in Canada? We're going to find out. This is a Q&A that's going to probably be live for you in July. I'll have probably released an EP called Half Kidding, Half Serious by the time you've seen this, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about why I'm in Canada. To my left and your right is Jordon Zadorozny. He's a record producer and he's also the cat from Blinker the Star. He's producing this record, which we're going to talk about. I'm going to do my best to dance around things and not give too much away because I have no idea when you're going to hear it. But I am going to take some questions that were gathered from the handy dandy Marc with a C advisory board. That's the Facebook group where when I can't make a decision for myself, I go to you all and then I act like, oh look, I'm reading your minds when I actually do it. So thank you all in advance for your questions. The first one comes from Sheridan Cheney, and she had specified that this one was for both of us, but they can all be for both of us. She asks, what is your favorite part of the process of putting an album together? Mine is probably hearing the plan come to fruition and going, yes, that really does work. It's better than the demo. I'm not wasting my life. I shouldn't have been a butcher. That's probably it, really. And then seeing people react favorably. I think that's my favorite. What's your favorite part?
I would say my favorite part is mixing the record, where, again, it's sort of like, it's where you get the first real rewards of all the hard work you've done. Because during the tracking process, you're thinking hard, you're basically not allowing yourself to enjoy what's happening because you need to get it right and it needs to be right. And mixing is the first time where you can sit back and you start arranging the sounds and getting balances and effects and getting it closer to what it's actually going to sound like. Where you can take a breath and go, oh, I like what we've done.
That's right.
You know, and let that wash over you for a minute. So that's my favorite part. That was my favorite part during the making of this record too.
That's a way better answer than mine.
Oh. What's the theme of this album? I think this is a pure Marc question.
I think before I answer, I want to know what you think the theme is.
Oh.
Because you're not to say you don't write killer lyrics, but you're not a 100% lyric guy.
I'm not really a lyric guy, and so Marc, I'm sure, has noticed that I asked very few questions about the lyrics.
Which is shocking. Shocking.
Because usually the role of a producer is to really get to the bottom, does this thing make sense? Marc has his themes worked out, and I learned this really quickly, and I learned that not only am I sort of out of my league when it comes to putting together an album that has some lyrical thematic unity, so I realized I'm sort of out of my league and I just kind of take a step back, but I'm also learning about like, oh, geez, you really can sort of think about the lyrics in this sort of more macro kind of way, and perhaps link the songs together with lyrics. So that kind of blew my mind a little bit, and starting to sort of chew on it now as we wind down here and think about how this might affect how I might do things in the future. So there we go.
Well, it's simple to link them. You just use the same word a couple times, and bam, you've got
He gives me these simple solutions of how it works, and I can't believe it's this simple.
Now, Ethan Sutton here wrote a mouthful. Ethan says, what inspired you to make not only the album in Canada, but the tracks themselves? What's the central concept for this album, and have you enjoyed making it? Okay, so...
Not fair. Unfair question.
Right?
Yeah.
So, what inspired me to make the album in Canada? Well, the tracks weren't made in Canada. I wrote these, and then I came here to record it. The real short version is Jordon made some fantastic records, and continues to make fantastic records under the name Blinker the Star, and... he's just a production genius. I wanted to have his sounds merge with my songs, and I had to come to Canada because this is where he lives and this is where all his tools are, and it would have been far simpler for me to fly up here to do it than you to pack up the nicerizer and your Pro Tools rig and your drums and come to Orlando and sweat.
That would have been a customs nightmare.
Oh my god. I thought customs was a nightmare for me, and I just had to stand in line for a little bit. That was like the biggest problem. The second part is basic. Oh, I already answered the concept. Have I enjoyed making it? No. Yeah, of course I did. This has been a blast. It's wonderful, and I really fallen in love with Pembroke, Ontario, where I'm at.
I'll second that. I thought the process was brilliant and a hoot, generally. Neil Calvin asks, whatever happened to all the fun in the world?
The internet.
I think there's plenty of fun to be had. That's all I got to say. I'm having more fun doing this than I ever have. So, find your bliss.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Also, for those of you that think that I've missed the reference, no, that's a Zappa reference. You didn't pull one over on me. But thanks, Neil. Thanks for playing our game. Jeff Douglas asks me, most memorable experience while making this new album. I think the one that probably will stick with me the longest was there was a bit where we needed to record some ambience, and for a bit I was thinking, well, let's plug in a synthesizer and try to get some nature sounds, and then, you know, we're kind of remote here in Pembroke. There's a lot of ambience around, so we came to, why don't we just stick some microphones outside the studio door and capture what actually sounds very, very similar to Florida. You probably, when you hear it, you probably will think that I recorded it and we imported it over to the record, but it's not true. But we were meeting far too much wind resistance, and we duct taped some paper towels to condenser. There are cardioid condensers. Mm-hmm. So that was, I think, the most memorable experience for me, just lo-fiing it up while in this very not lo-fi environment. I still found a way to put lo-fi into it. Mm-hmm. How about you? Most memorable?
The most memorable was when, I would say, like after about day 4, it became pretty apparent that Marc was coming down with a serious cold. And by day 6, we were getting close to finishing them. Most of the instruments were done, and but there were still some very crucial vocals to be done, and Marc was coming down hard. And I would say that the making of the album, the process in general, has been, you know, we work hard, but with a very kind of light-hearted air. And Marc came up to me on this day and was like, "We need to get these vocals done as soon as possible today." And so I was like, shit, he's losing his voice. He went out there, his voice sounded perfect, but he knew that the end was near. We finished the vocals, they were all brilliant, perfect, we got what we needed. The next day, he woke up and his voice had sunk about 3 octaves. And
you called it my FM voice.
Yeah, I was like, right away, I was like, here comes Mr. FM announcer. So just Marc's seriousness of demeanor when he said that to me, I was just like, yes sir, let's do that now. You'd be happy. And it looks so much better in that chair back there.
Not moving.
Great. Great shot.
Found what you wanted. So what have you got? I think you've got a Jeff Douglas question, don't you?
He's in there twice, yeah. What did you do different with the making of this album versus others in the past? This is interesting. I want to hear your answer to this.
Well, I came to Canada, and this is the first time I've used an outside producer since 2004 in any capacity. I mean, I've handed it off to mastering engineers before, but normally nobody gets in. And this record has been in the works. I've been sort of squirreling away songs for a number of years to get the right songs and the right theme to do here with Jordon. So this has been a long game. We met about 5 years ago, and I think it was about 4 that I brought this up to you. And even released albums in the meantime. It was the Claire and the Potatoes record and 2 Mark of the Sea records. And this was the one that I went, nope, this is the one that needs Jordon's stamp. But I imagine that this has been a different record for you in some ways. You know, every record's different. What's been a...
Every single one is different. Again, like really sort of making a record where the artist really knows what they're doing with lyrics was just sort of, for me, the big thing. Also, we had, this is, you know, more sonic, but my drum kit has never... Marc arrived at a time when sonically it had been tweaked by a few people that had been through here recently that really know what they're doing with tuning and setting up drums. Thank you, Arturo. And Marc arrived when, you know, I'm just so thrilled with the way the drums sounded on the record. And, you know, that's kind of my job to worry about that stuff. And Marc had said something early in the process like, you know, I've never really thought too hard about drum sounds. And I sort of have been thinking hard about drum sounds since I was about 8 years old. So I think that's why this is a really interesting sort of pairing.
Yeah, the drums are really going to kick your face in on this record, and I nicknamed his floor tom Velvet Pancakes because when you hear that floor tom, that's the only thing you can think. It's just soft and pillowy, but it's also like you need a food coma nap afterwards. So, Jeff Douglas asks, did you learn anything new about making music that might inspire others? I learned a lot from Jordon's process of mixing. He goes about it in a different way than I personally experienced or observed, but I don't want to tell you what that is because that's his process and I'm not going to... There's a reason that people want Jordon to do their records, and I'm not about to sit here on camera and tell you what he does, but it's kind of obvious, it should be obvious in some ways, but I see that the step so skipped over nowadays with having recording tools at everybody's fingertips that it was almost surprising and almost ancient in a way. It's almost an antiquated step in the process that this gentleman does. So I learned a thing that I can't tell you. Did you learn a new thing? Well,
what I do when I have an artist here when I'm mixing is I surreptitiously pour candle wax in their ears, and they just think everything sounds brilliant. So
that's why I got the cold, I bet.
Nothing to do with it.
The ears, nose, and throats they're all connected. I'm pretty sure I got the cold not as a shock to my system because all of the floating stuff in the air. They have a lot of flowers here that just sort of float in the air. It's very, like, it's wonderful in a Snow White way. Terrible if you've got allergies.
Bunnies too. There's floating bunnies in the air in Canada.
That was mostly why I came.
Probably the most surprising thing we learned about Canada was airborne bunnies.
Airborne bunnies, and that's why I live here now, so you'll all have to come to Pembroke, Ontario, specifically JJ's Bar, to see me perform. They have, they're going to have...
Fridays at 4:15.
And they're going to have Immodest on tap soon, so... I'm really good at sex.
Are there any special guests playing on the album? The trio? Question mark. Just you?
Mostly.
Is it really just you and me?
Yeah, that's it.
There's no other guests?
No.
Just the wind and the frogs and crickets?
Yeah, there's some special guests that are crickets, but Jordon played drums on the whole record. So, and he threw in a couple of tasty bass bits and a buried guitar thing. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of organ bits that you did, but I also played a little bit of keyboard on it, which isn't really my forte. I did, I think, 10 out of 12 bass parts.
Mm-hmm.
So
all the guitars, rhythms.
There's one buried guitar part that, for those who study their rock history, you will go, is that? It can't. There it is again. That's what you'll do. But no, the trio didn't play on the record, and that's not a... It's absolutely no slight against them. It's the same reason the trio doesn't tour. They have Emmett and Jim have lives of their own, and they have day jobs, and it financially would not make any sense for them to make a record where they're just kind of a backing band. So I would have loved for them to be on the record, but this record is all about new avenues, new approaches, taking chances, taking risks, doing things I haven't done before. And one thing I have definitely never done before is had one of the idols, the musical folk that inspired me to do what I do at all, produce and play on the record.
Thank you, Marc.
Seriously, I skipped school in like 11th or 12th grade so that I could buy his second record, Bourgeois Kitten, on the record from the record store the day, the first hour, because I couldn't deal with like getting to lunchtime and not having it yet. So thanks.
Thank you for that.
It's about the I've got one more question here from Nathan Rayford, and it says, and you know, you could probably answer this too, but it won't be Mark of the Sea related at all. What went through your head the first time you heard the crowd singing one of your songs with you?
Oh.
And, okay, I went through a couple of answers in my head. One was, I probably want another beer, because at the time I would have been a heavy drinker. And then there was, finally, because I'd worked so hard to get to that point where a song had stuck in someone's head. And then I went, I want to do this forever. And that's really that's the cornerstone of it, almost every Marc of the Sea show. At some point, even if most of those folks have never seen me before, there's going to be one song that everybody latches onto and sings the chorus back to me by the end of the show. So that it feels like home when that happens. It feels more homey than my own home. How about you?
Well, I said the same things in my head that you did, but it was it was opening for Sloan at St. Andrews Hall on the August Everywhere tour, and we had some radio support there, and yeah, I said those things that you said in your head, but I didn't really play so much after that, so it really didn't happen all that often. Maybe in DC, but it became more about the records after that. Well, but yeah, it certainly is an amazing feeling. I mean,
if you want to play it now, I'll sing along with you, and since I'm the only person here, it'll be the crowd.
Right.
Come on, man. Hunting at the zoo. Let's go.
Sorry, the kids are nearby.
All right, well, that's the questions we've got. The record is rather obscure, and that's all the hints you're going to get for right now. It'll be coming out maybe by the end of the year, possibly early next year, but I wanted to give you a quick report from the studio since I'm so far away. But I specifically wanted to make this video because so many of you helped financially make this happen on Patreon, and without your support, I wouldn't be here now. Thank you very much, and Jordan, thanks for doing this with me. This has been a more serious Q&A than I normally did. We'll get back to talking about cereal and shit next month. All right, bye everybody.
Cheers.